My name is Jason Niemi. I'm the Vice President of Research and Development for DMSi and will be the primary contact for our project, Remanufacturing Mobile App. So with our short time today, I want to give you an idea of who DMSi is and how we approach these projects. I will cover the problem we're trying to solve with this app, what we would like to see from the project, as well as the technology stack we anticipate you using. So first, who is DMSi? So we are an ERP software provider based out of Omaha. We've been in business for about 45 years, and we built our foundation by serving customers in the building materials industry. So our customers range from your local lumber yards to distributors with hundreds of locations across the United States. On our flagship product, Agility, we have over 400 customers and 16,000 users. So the app that you'll be building will be used in conjunction with Agility and our current suite of mobile apps. So in addition to DMSi, we own a company in Australia called Sterling Computing. Sterling has a software called Frameworks, which also focuses specifically on the building materials industry. Their primary focus is more on the retail lumber. Well, I guess technically there it would be called timber. So retail lumber yards and plumbing supplies. We also own a company in Ohio called Elims, and Elims focuses more on the hardwood lumber industry, but they're further up the supply chain, so more geared towards your loggers and then the manufacturers than distribution or dealers and retail. Lastly, we actually own a workflow company here in Omaha called WorkPoint, not affiliated with building materials. It's the only thing in our portfolio that isn't. So across all those companies today, we have around 230 employees, and we've been growing at a consistent rate for the past few years and anticipate that going forward. So for this project, we've assembled, as you can see, quite a large team. There are a couple different reasons we do this. First, we want to ensure you have enough resources at your disposal so any questions you may have can be answered quickly and accurately. The hope of this is that you don't lose any time on the project during your team time, and hopefully it'll allow you to be as successful as possible and build as much software as you can during this capstone project. Second, on our end, we like to add team members from multiple departments. So for this project, we have people from support and implementations, development, product, research and development. And the reason for this is at the end of the school year, when we take the project back from you, we want to make sure we have knowledge at all these different levels in our organization to be able to take what you give us and move that forward to production and support that thing going out to our customers in a production ready environment. All right, so now that said, let's go ahead and talk about the problem that we actually need to solve here. The first thing I thought I would do is give you a brief definition of what remanufacturing is and what that means to us. And we typically call it reman, so you'll hear me say that quite a bit. So simply put, reman is where our customers take one or more items, they perform an operation or a set of operations on those items that produce a different item as the output. So I thought I would give you a few examples that might help you paint a picture of what this process looks like. So the first one is molding blanks. So a molding blank is a raw piece of wood. So say, 5/4 inches thick, 8 foot by 6 inch. So they would take those molding blanks, they run them through machinery with knives with profiles on them that will create design patterns in that wood that end up being molding that goes into houses and commercial spaces. So this would be the window trim and door trim, crown molding, base trim around your floors. Those are the types of things that would go through this process. Another example would be cutting material. So for those of you that aren't familiar with engineered wood, which is likely probably all of you, engineered wood that goes, the beams that go into houses and big buildings generally are made in 60-foot lengths from the manufacturers. So most of the time that's bigger than what customers would need to say, open up your living room space. So what they would do is they would take that 60-footer, they take a chainsaw, the operation is to cut that piece of wood at whatever length you need and then produce multiple outputs from that. So I could take a 60-footer, cut it in half, now I have two 30-footers. That would be the reman process for that. The last example that would probably be something you might be familiar with is around dimensional lumber, just softwood, like say pine lumber. So we may have customers that take 2x4 8-footers in a big bundle and put them through a treating process, a pressure treating process that allows that lumber to then be used in exterior projects like a deck or fences, things that touch the ground. They have to have a special treating so they don't rot. So that's another thing that our customers use. There are many, many other examples that I could give you that our customers use daily within Agility. So now that you kind of understand what reman is, you'll probably want to know what actually is the problem that we're trying to solve here. Really, it just boils down to efficiency and accuracy. So many times these processes take place in remote areas of our customers' land, away from their offices, away from their computers. In some cases, it can actually be a significant distance from wherever they're doing this process, back to that office. And so with no computer access today, people are using paperwork to do this. So they print out paperwork that tells the people what they need to do. Once the people have done their process, they can update that paperwork with the quantities and everything that they've done, what output items they made, and then that paperwork has to get back to a computer. So back into an office where somebody can log into Agility, get into the reman itself, and update that information based on the work that was performed. And the key is, until that point in time, when that update process is done in Agility, that is the first time that those items, those output items they made, are actually available to move on in the process in Agility. So if there's a customer waiting for that product, you can't get documentation to pick that material. You can't get a delivery ticket to take that material and send it out, because it technically does not exist in the system until that reman is completed. Well, because those locations can be remote, sometimes that paperwork sits out in the yard for potentially hours before a stack of paperwork gets back into the office to be updated in the software. So all those things together can add up to some fairly poor customer service in cases. Definitely there's some inefficiencies within the yard and warehouse. And then you could have some human error. You're relying on people writing on paperwork, somebody else reading that paperwork, keying that into the system. There's just a lot of failure points in that process that can cause some human error. Plus, ideally you want people to get rid of paper. It's 2021, and I think that mobile apps are probably going to catch on. So all joking aside, it seems like a easy enough problem to solve, right? So what is our vision of this project? Really, it's quite simple. We want to build a native mobile application that can be run on either Android or iOS that will handle the reman needs of our customers in their yard and their warehouse, eliminating the need for paper. So we have REST APIs available for all the functions that are needed in this app. We want to handle full CRUD operations on those remans. So our users will need the ability to start or edit a reman, add input items, add operations, adjust quantities, adjust costs, add output items that they're making. And then once all that's done and they're done with their work, then you'll get back into that reman and do the completion process. So whether the complete work was completely done or part of the work is done, then I'll be able to get that updated so that that inventory is back in the system correctly. So the successful outcome of this project has a couple of valuable byproducts, actually many of them, but I'll talk about a couple. First, our customers will have more accurate inventory in their systems much more quickly. Second, for DMSi, we're going to have more users accessing our system from our current customers. This provides us more revenue, and in turn, it makes our software stickier, hopefully keeping these customers for life. So now that you understand the problem and the vision, let's talk a little bit about the technical side of this and what we expect you to use. So we want to keep the technology stack the same as what we use in our mobile suite today. So today we build all our apps using Expo and React Native on the front end. We use our Circle CI for our continuous integration. And then we use Golang for our programming language for our middleware. And then finally, we have GraphQL, which we use as a query language when working with our APIs, allowing us to limit the data set coming back to the front end to only what we need rather than everything coming back from the API. So our backend databases progress, probably something you aren't really familiar with. We don't anticipate you really getting to use that or needing to use that. If there's any functionality we decide we want to add to the app during the process where we don't have APIs built, likely do our schedule and our backlog, we would have you guys build mock APIs. And then in that case, you can use whatever technology and database you desire for those mock APIs. The beauty of this whole process and the technology that we use is we can do these mock APIs. And when we have them in our system, because we use GraphQL and these other things, it allows us to swap that out pretty easily with our own set of APIs when they're ready. So lastly, to kind of help with a potential technology learning curve and to introduce you to our design patterns, we've actually built a starter application that we're going to provide to you. So this app is built with all the technologies that we just talked about. It's going to give you code for authenticating against our environment. And we also have a simple call for retrieving basic reman information built into this. We also put in a special page that has just a bunch of our different controls that we've built. So you can see our design patterns, you can see the different input types that we have. And hopefully it'll give you a picture to how we build our mobile apps today. And it'll allow you to hit the ground running and hopefully keep the look and feel similar to what we have with the rest of our suite. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And I really hope that you see DMSi as a project that you want to work with. I think we have an amazing team and it's going to be a fun year. So thank you very much for your time today. And I look forward to working with you during the school year.